Amani woke before the sun, the way she always did when her heart felt uneasy. The sky outside her window was still dark, only a faint wash of pale blue stretching over the quiet village of Kik. She wrapped her shawl around her shoulders and walked toward the kitchen, hoping to warm water for tea and settle the strange heaviness in her chest. But halfway through the corridor, she stopped. There were whispers in the kitchen, low, urgent, familiar. She recognized her mother's voice first, sharp, commanding, the voice she used when giving instructions that brooked no argument. Then she heard a second voice, a male voice, one she knew better than her own heartbeat. Kato. Her breath caught in her throat and she moved closer, silently pressing herself against the wall. She didn't want to spy, but something deep inside her, something old, something ancestral warned her not to walk away. Her mother's words cut like a blade through the still air. By sunset, Kato will agree to marry Naledi. It is the only way. Amani's entire body froze. She felt her pulse hammer in her ears. She waited for Kato to laugh, to protest, to stand up for their love. But when he spoke, his voice trembled, not with anger, but with confusion. Mama Zu, Amani and I, we've been together for 3 years. And she is too soft, her mother snapped. Too gentle, too fragile. You need a stronger wife. My Naledi is the one who will build a future with you. Amani. She paused long enough for Amani's heart to twist painfully. Amani is not ready for a man like you. Amani slapped a hand over her mouth to stop the sound rising in her chest. Tears stung her eyes, hot and sudden. Why was her mother saying this? Why was Kato even listening? Mama Zuri continued, her tone unwavering. You will come tonight. We will speak with Naledi. This match is better for the family, better for you, better for everyone. Kato didn't answer immediately. She heard the scrape of his sandals, the weight of his hesitation. Amani will be hurt, he finally whispered. She will survive, Mama Zuri said. But a weak marriage will destroy you. Amani felt her knees weaken. Weak, fragile. She worked from dawn until dusk in the market, crafting beadwork that people from 4 villages came to buy. She supported the home. She supported her mother. She supported Kato, yet now she was suddenly not enough. She stepped back slowly, careful not to make a sound. Her hands trembled. She didn't know where to go or who to run to. The truth had struck too fast, too deep. When she reached her room, she sat on the edge of her bed, shaking. The morning birds began to sing outside, unaware that inside the small mud brick house, her entire world had slipped from her grasp. Kato, her mother Naledi, the 3 people she trusted most were about to tear her life apart before sunset. Amani looked at her trembling hands and whispered to herself, what am I supposed to do now? She didn't know it yet, but this was the moment her life would crack open. The moment everything would change. Amani tried to steady her breathing, but every inhale felt like swallowing fire. She sat there for a long moment, staring at the dim light creeping across her floor, waiting for the world to make sense again. It didn't. Everything felt unreal, like she had slipped into someone else's nightmare. When she finally stood, she wiped her cheeks, squared her shoulders, and stepped outside. The early morning breeze brushed her face, carrying scents of damp soil and fresh dew, usually comforting, but now painfully indifferent to her pain. Villagers had begun setting up market stalls. Pots clanged, goats bleated, women laughed in clusters. Life moved on, even though hers had stopped. She walked slowly toward the river, the only place where her thoughts ever settled. Kato had once told her that the river carried away worries if you whispered them into the current. They had sat there, feet in the water, dreaming of the little house they would build near the mango grove. He had promised her forever. She believed him. She trusted him. Now she replayed the whispers she heard in the kitchen, each word twisting deeper inside her like a thorn. By sunset, marry now. She is stronger. Amani is not ready. A soft voice interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Amani. She turned to see Naledi, approaching from the footpath, carrying a basket of cassava on her hip. Her elder sister looked radiant as always, tall, confident, moving with the grace of someone born to command attention. People often said Naledi's presence filled a room before she even entered it. Amani wondered bitterly if that was why her mother believed Naledi deserved Kato more. You're out so early, Naledi said, placing her basket down and brushing dust from her skirt. Is something wrong? For a heartbeat, Amani almost asked, almost confessed everything, but she studied Naledi's face, open, unaware, innocent. Did she even know what Mama Zuri was planning? Or was she part of it too? Her voice came out small. I just couldn't sleep? Naledi stepped closer and touched Amani's shoulder gently, a rare softness appearing in her eyes. Well, you look tired. And sad. Did you and Kato fight again? The question hit hard. Again. As if their relationship was known to be fragile. As if everyone saw cracks she never noticed. Amani forced a smile. No, nothing like that. For a moment, they stood there in silence, listening to the river murmur. Then Naledi sighed. You know, Mama worries about you a lot. She says, you're too gentle for this world. Amani stiffened. The words were too familiar. Too close to what she had overheard. Naledi continued, sweeping her braids back. She thinks you take on too much pain and carry it alone. She fears one day it will break you. Amani looked away, jaw tightening. So her mother had been saying these things to others, to even her sister. Before she could respond, they heard footsteps approaching. Kato emerged from the trees, breathless as if he had been searching for someone. His eyes landed on Amani, and guilt flickered across his face so quickly she almost missed it. Naledi smiled brightly at him. Kato, you're early today. He nodded, but his gaze remained fixed on Amani, heavy, uncertain, apologetic. Amani's heartbeat quickened. The silence between them felt thick, sharp, dangerous. Kato swallowed hard, then took a hesitant step toward her. Amani, we need to talk. Amani's stomach tightened the moment Kato said those words. We need to talk. Nothing good ever followed that sentence. She wrapped her shawl tighter around herself, as if it could shield her from whatever was coming. Naledi, unaware of the tension coiling between them, picked up her basket and smiled. I'll leave you too. I need to finish preparing for the women's meeting. She touched Amani's arm lightly. Don't be too hard on him. Amani almost flinched at the words. Kato didn't take his eyes off Amani until Naledi disappeared around the bend of the path. Only then did he exhale shakily, rubbing the back of his neck the way he always did when he was nervous. Amani watched him with a mix of love, fear, and rising anger. What do you want to talk about? She asked, her voice softer than she intended. Kato stepped closer, but she instinctively took a small step back. He froze, pained by the distance. Amani. About this morning, her heart raced. He knew she heard. He must have seen her. Or maybe he didn't, maybe he just sensed everything was unraveling. I didn't mean for you to hear anything, he said quietly. Amani's breath caught. So he knew. She stared at him, searching for any sign of the man she trusted. The man who used to look at her like she was the only person in the world. What exactly wasn't I supposed to hear? Kato, she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and strength she didn't know she had. That my mother wants you to marry Naledi? Or that I'm too soft for you? Or that you actually listened to her? Kato shut his eyes, the weight of the accusation pressing into his shoulders. Amani, it isn't that simple. It seems very simple from where I'm standing, she whispered. He reached out as if to hold her hand, but she pulled away. The rejection stung him. But Amani felt a small flicker of power inside, the power of refusing to be treated like she didn't matter. I love you, Kato said, voice breaking slightly. But your mother? She said things that made sense. She always thinks she knows what's best for me. Amani cut in, bitterness slipping into her tone. She thinks my strength isn't real unless it looks like Naledi's. Kato shook his head helplessly. Amani, you know Mama Zuri, she's respected. Her opinion carries weight. And she said she's afraid you're not ready for marriage. Not ready for the responsibilities that come with my family, my land, my work. Amani stared at him, stunned. And you believed her? He looked away. That silence broke something inside her. Amani took a shaky breath. After everything between us, after all our plans, did you truly think I'm too weak to be your wife? Kato swallowed hard, guilt flooding his expression. Amani, I don't think you're weak. I don't know what to think anymore. Your mother said, my mother doesn't speak for me. Amani snapped, a flash of fire rising in her tone that surprised them both. Kato's eyes widened. She continued, voice cracking but fierce. And she doesn't speak for our relationship. Kato took a step closer. Amani, please. I'm confused. I need time to think. Her heart twisted painfully, not because he needed time, but because he didn't take her side immediately. She nodded stiffly, tears blurring her vision. Then think, Kato. But don't think too long, because if you wait too much, you might come back to find I'm no longer waiting. Kato's face paled. Amani turned away, walked past him, and didn't look back. She didn't see his tears. She didn't see his regret. She only felt the sharp sting of betrayal deep in her chest, burning brighter with every step. Amani walked as fast as her legs could carry her, though each step felt heavier than the last. She didn't care where she was going. She just needed distance. Distance from Kato, distance from her mother, distance from every memory that now felt poisoned by the time she reached the far edge of the village. The sun had climbed high enough to warm her back. She stopped at the old baobab tree, her father's tree, the one he used to sit under when he was alive, telling stories of spirits, courage, and the silent strength hidden in gentle hearts. She touched the rough bark lightly, feeling its age, its steadiness. Unlike people, the tree didn't lie. It didn't choose favorites. It didn't betray. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "Baba, what do I do?" Only the wind answered, rustling through the huge branches above her. She sat at the tree's base and hugged her knees to her chest. Tears fell freely now, no longer held back. She cried until her whole body shook, until her chest hurt, until the world blurred. Her mother's words echoed through her mind. Too soft, not ready, Naledi is stronger. And worst of all, Cato's silence as he listened. How could he hesitate? How could he entertain the idea of marrying her sister? How could he stand there and consider her mother's words more than her love? A faint crunching sound of footsteps pulled her back into the present. She wiped her face quickly, expecting maybe a villager passing by. But when she looked up, she saw someone she didn't expect. Elder Musa stood a few feet away, his walking stick planted firmly in the soil. His eyes, deep, wise, almost seeing through her, softened as he took in her swollen face. "My child," he said gently, "the soil tells me your heart is heavy today." Amani looked down, not wanting him to see more weakness. "I'm fine," she whispered, though her trembling voice betrayed her. Elder Musa chuckled softly. "Even the strongest tree bends when the storm comes. It doesn't pretend the wind is gentle." Amani's lips quivered. "Did you hear something?" "I heard your spirit calling," he said simply, coming closer. "Sit with me." She shifted slightly, as he lowered himself beside her with surprising ease for a man of his age. They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the distant sounds of the village children laughing, sellers calling out prices, goats tugging on ropes. "How long have you been carrying pain alone?" Elder Musa asked. Amani hesitated. "Since this morning," she breathed shakily, "but maybe longer." "Pain has a smell," he said, "and yours is not new." She swallowed hard, surprised by how easily he could see through her. "I just heard things I wasn't meant to hear." Elder Musa nodded slowly. "Truth has its own path. Sometimes it reaches our ears before we're ready." Amani's eyes filled with tears again. She said, "I'm weak. That Naledi is better for him. And Cato, he didn't defend me." "Is that what breaks you?" he asked calmly. "Your mother's words, or his silence?" "Both." The answer screamed inside her, raw and sharp. She drew a shaky breath. "I don't know who to trust anymore." Elder Musa placed a hand on the earth beside him. "Then trust this. The ground beneath you, the ancestors who listen, and the strength inside you that you have forgotten." Amani looked up at him, confused. "Strength? I don't feel strong at all," he smiled, eyes warm. "That is because you believe strength must be loud. But child, some of the strongest spirits are silent." Amani blinked, unsure how to respond. Elder Musa tapped his walking stick lightly. "Your journey is just beginning. And sometimes, life must break open before light can enter." Her heart clenched, but for the first time since morning, she felt a small flicker, not of hope, but of possibility. For a long moment, Amani simply sat beside Elder Musa, letting his words settle in the aching spaces of her chest. The wind shifted, warm and gentle, brushing away strands of her hair. It felt like a small embrace, the kind she desperately needed. Elder Musa studied her quietly. "Your spirit is bruised," he said softly, "but not broken. A heart like yours does not shatter easily." Amani almost laughed, but it came out as a trembling sigh. "It feels shattered." "That is because you measure yourself through the eyes of others," he replied. "Your mother Cato even Naledi. You forget that your worth was carved long before their opinions existed." His words pressed into something deep inside her, like a hand touching an old wound. "But how do I stand up after this?" she asked. "Everything feels like it's slipping out of my hands." Elder Musa leaned back against the baobab tree. "You do not stand by force. You stand by knowing who you are." Amani hugged her arms around herself. "I thought I knew. I thought Cato and I thought our plans meant something." "They did," he said calmly. "But plans made without truth will always be tested." Amani closed her eyes, tears threatening again. He listened to her. "He doubted me." "Love is tested most when shadows fall," Elder Musa murmured. "The question is, will you allow this shadow to swallow you? Or will you learn to see in the dark?" His voice carried the weight of something ancient, something older than grief. Amani felt the air shift between them, as if invisible threads wrapped around her, anchoring her gently to the earth. Before she could respond, she heard someone calling her name from far away. Amani. Amani. It was Naladi's voice, urgent, breathless. Amani tensed immediately. Elder Musa nodded to her. Go, but listen with your spirit, not just your ears. She rose slowly, wiped her face, and walked toward the sound. Naladi appeared on the path. Her face flushed. Worry etched deep into her expression. Amani, I've been looking everywhere for you, she said, grabbing her hand. Mama sent me. She's angry you disappeared. Amani's heart sank. Of course, her mother was angry. Everything always had to be about control. About appearances. About her way being the only way. I needed air, Amani said softly. Naledi squeezed her fingers, almost pleading. Come home, Amani. Please. Mama is preparing for tonight. A lot of people are coming. She needs everything to be perfect. The word tonight hit Amani like a slap. Tonight. The night her mother planned to announce the new match. The night she expected Kato to agree. The night she expected Amani to smile through betrayal. Amani felt her throat tighten. Naledi, did Mama tell you why she wants you to meet with Kato tonight? Naledi's eyes flickered. For the first time, uncertainty cracked her steady expression. She mentioned something, but I didn't want to ask. I didn't think it was serious. Amani studied her sister closely. Naledi looked genuinely confused, maybe even worried. Maybe she truly didn't know the full truth. Please, Naledi whispered, come home. Mama said if you're not there, it will embarrass the family. Amani almost laughed. Embarrass the family. As if her mother wasn't about to embarrass her daughter in front of the entire village. Still, she said nothing. She simply nodded. As the two sisters walked back toward the village, Amani felt that flicker inside her again. Small, shaky, but alive. Something was shifting. Something inside her. Something she didn't fully understand yet. But soon, she would. As Amani and Naledi neared the village, the sounds of preparation grew louder, mortar pounding. Women giving instructions, the clatter of pots and stools being moved around. The gathering was already forming, and the sun had not even begun to set. Amani's feet felt heavier with every step. Naledi kept glancing at her, worry tightening her features. There was something in her sister's eyes, uncertainty, fear. Maybe even guilt, but Amani couldn't bring herself to ask. The truth already hurt enough. When they reached home, Mama Zuri was standing outside, arms crossed, jaw clenched. Her eyes locked onto Amani instantly. Where have you been? She demanded, voice sharp as a whip. People are coming tonight. This family must appear united. Amani lowered her gaze but didn't apologize. For once, she didn't feel guilty for needing space. Naledi stepped in, trying to soften the moment. Mama, she just needed air. It's been a long morning. Mama Zuri raised a hand to silence her. I'm not speaking to you, Naledi. Naledi fell quiet, her shoulders tensing. Amani expected the scolding to continue. But instead her mother's voice shifted, colder and more calculating. Amani, go inside and change. You will help serve guests tonight. A wave of disbelief washed over her. Serve guests. Serve the very people who would witness her humiliation. Serve at the event where her boyfriend might be handed to her sister, like a prize. Amani swallowed the pain, her voice quiet but steady. Mama, what exactly is happening tonight? Mama Zuri's eyes narrowed, almost challenging her. Kato is coming with his uncle. They will speak with us. Naledi will be presented to them. Naledi's breath hitched sharply. Mama, hush. Mama Zuri snapped. This is how things are done. A strong daughter must step forward first. Amani felt something twist deep inside her, not just heartbreak, but anger. Pure, hot anger that spread through her chest like wildfire. Her mother wasn't even trying to hide her intentions anymore. And what about me? Amani asked, voice trembling. What am I supposed to do? Mama Zuri didn't blink. You will be supportive. And silent. The words hit harder than any slap could have. Amani stared at her mother, unable to fully believe what she heard. Silent. She whispered. Yes, Mama Zuri said simply. This is not about you anymore. Naledi stepped forward, voice shaking. Mama, you can't just... Enough. Mama Zuri's voice rang out sharply. Do you want to ruin tonight? Do you want people to talk? Do you want the village to say we raised a jealous, disobedient daughter? Amani felt her chest tighten painfully. The accusation was aimed at her, even though she had done nothing wrong. Mama Zuri pointed toward the house. Go inside. Amani stood frozen for a moment, torn between fury and heartbreak. She looked at Naledi, who looked back at her with teary, helpless eyes, and then at her mother, who was already turning away as if the matter were settled. Amani finally moved, but not because she obeyed, because something inside her had snapped, something strong, something alive. She entered the house quietly, but her steps carried a new weight. She would not serve guests tonight, she would not sit silently, she would not watch her life be taken away. Something had awakened inside her, and Mama Zuri had no idea what she had just unleashed. Inside the house, the air felt thick as if the walls themselves carried the tension. Amani walked slowly toward her room, her hands curling into fists at her sides. The anger inside her wasn't wild or chaotic. It was controlled, focused. A quiet storm building in her chest. She closed the door behind her and leaned against it. Breathing hard, her mother's words echoed endlessly. You will be supportive. And silent. This is not about you anymore. Amani pressed her palms over her face. Not about me? She whispered. How can the life I built not be about me? Her eyes fell on the small wooden box on her table, the one where she kept all the little things she shared with Cato, beads they collected together. A folded leaf with his handwriting. A small shell he gave her the day he told her he wanted a future with her. Her chest tightened painfully. She walked to the box and opened it slowly. The memories inside glowed with soft familiarity, but now each one felt sharp, like touching broken glass. She picked up the small shell, smooth, white, with a faint crack on one side. He had given it to her by the river, laughing as he said it reminded him of her. Delicate on the outside, but strong inside. Was that a lie too? She whispered. Her hands trembled as she set the shell down. Tears welled in her eyes again, but she blinked them away angrily. She was tired of crying, tired of feeling small, tired of being treated like her feelings were insignificant. A soft knock sounded on her door. She stiffened. Who is it? It's me, Naledi said quietly. Amani hesitated before opening the door. Naledi slipped inside and closed it behind her. She looked shaken, more shaken than Amani had ever seen her. Amani, Naledi began, voice trembling. I didn't know all of this. I swear. Mama didn't tell me she was pushing Cato toward me like this. Amani looked at her sister's face, searching for truth. Naledi's eyes glistened with sincerity and guilt. I know Mama favors me, Naledi whispered. I know she always says I'm the strong one, but I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for him. Amani wrapped her arms around herself, trying to steady her breathing. It doesn't matter what you asked for. It matters what's happening tonight. Naledi ran a hand through her braids, pacing. I told Mama I wasn't comfortable. I told her, Cato loves you, not me. But she doesn't listen. She thinks she's doing what's best. Amani's voice cracked. Best for who? Naledi stopped pacing and looked at her. Not for you. I know that, and not for me either. Amani studied her sister, trying to understand her fully for the first time. Naledi looked strong on the outside, but now she saw something else. Fear. Naledi wasn't the enemy. She was trapped too, caught inside Mama Zuri's expectations. I don't want to hurt you, Naledi said softly. And I don't want Cato if his heart isn't with me. Amani felt something slowly loosen inside her. Not forgiveness, but understanding. But you're still part of tonight, Amani said. You're still going to be presented to him. Naledi swallowed hard. Mama won't let me refuse. She says a daughter who disobeys brings shame. Amani stepped closer. And what about a mother who destroys her own child's happiness? What does that bring? Naledi looked away, unable to answer. Amani touched her sister's arm gently. Naledi, I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but I can't stay quiet. Not anymore. Naledi nodded slowly, fear flickering in her eyes. Amani, whatever you're planning, be careful. Mama won't like it. Amani exhaled deeply. I don't care. For the first time, Naledi saw something fierce in Amani, something steady, unshakable, strength that didn't shout, but pulsed like a heartbeat. Naledi whispered, You're changing. Amani met her gaze. No, I'm becoming who I should have been all along. Evening crept over the village slowly, turning the sky a bruised purple and gold. The smell of cooking meat drifted through the air, mixing with wood smoke and distant laughter. Guests were beginning to gather outside, unaware of the emotional storm brewing beneath the roof of Mama Zuri's house. Inside, Amani stood before her small mirror, staring at her reflection. Her eyes were tired, rimmed with red, but there was something new in them in intensity she didn't recognize at first. Her mother would say she saw defiance. Elder Musa would say she saw awakening. Amani didn't know which one it was. But she knew she couldn't let tonight pass in silence. She touched her face lightly, remembering Cato's expression at the river, the uncertainty, the guilt, the weakness. She had loved him so deeply she never once imagined he would falter when it mattered most. That hurt more than anything. A voice called from outside her room. "Amani, come out." It wasn't her mother's voice. It was her Aunt Louise, always kind, always soft-spoken. Amani stepped out and her aunt hugged her immediately, whispering, "Be strong tonight, child." But there was something else in her eyes. Pity.aman. I pulled away gently and walked toward the main room. Mama Zuri stood in the center, regal in a bright red wrapper and gold headscarf. Her posture commanded attention. Her tone controlled the air. "Amani," she said without looking at her, "go help arrange the stools outside. The men will be seated soon." Amani inhaled slowly. No, the room seemed to freeze. Even the fire crackling in the corner felt silent. Mama Zuri's eyes snapped to her, sharp and warning. "What did you say?" "I said no," Amani repeated softly, but firmly. Guests walking past the open doorway turned their heads for a moment. But Mama Zuri straightened and forced a tense smile. "Don't embarrass this family. Go outside." Amani stood rooted. Her voice trembled, but she didn't back down. "I won't serve at an event meant to replace me." Mama Zuri's smile vanished instantly. Anger flooded her features. She stepped closer, her voice low and dangerous. "Do you want to shame us? Is that what you want, after everything I've done for you?" Amani's jaw tightened. "You didn't do this for me." Before Mama Zuri could respond, Naledi rushed in from the back, cheeks flushed. "Mama, the guests are asking when Cato will arrive." Mama Zuri raised a hand sharply. "Not now." Naledi glanced between them, panic flickering in her eyes. Then the sound of footsteps approached from outside, deep, confident, familiar. Amani's heart stuttered. Cato. He was here. Mama Zuri exhaled as if everything was falling into place. Good, he's on time. Amani's pulse pounded in her ears. She felt the walls closing in. But instead of fear, something else rose inside her. Clarity. A strength she had never felt before. Cato stepped through the doorway with his uncle behind him. He looked around nervously, searching for her. His eyes found hers instantly. Amani didn't look away. Cato froze. For the first time, he saw the change in her, something fierce, powerful, undeniable. The room held its breath. Mama Zuri stepped forward proudly. "Welcome Cato tonight." Amani walked right past her mother and stood between Cato and the others, her voice steady and clear. "Cato, before anything happens tonight, you and I need to speak. Now." Gasps rippled through the guests outside. Mama Zuri's face drained of color. Cato swallowed hard. "Amani." She lifted her chin. No more silence. The sun slipped below the horizon, and evening fully claimed the sky. It was time.